What's up, guys? Wes, Sincity Tactical. Welcome to the live stream show. I'm Wes, Sincity Tactical. We're going to bring in Jax, the Minnesota Overlander. Griff was not able to come on tonight, but we're going to get Jax in here at least. Let's get him pulled in to the video here. What is going on now? Oh, I was on solo only. Okay, great. Now we've got everybody up and running.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
So, like Wes said, unfortunately, Griff couldn't be here tonight. He's got work early tomorrow morning, plus a couple other personal things that he's got going on tonight. So he's unfortunately not able to make it here, but that's fine. We will run the Sincity Tactical and Minnesota Overlander just between the two of us.
Absolutely. So, always got to keep the show going. We'd love to get Griff back on, which we will. We'll have him back on soon. It's just a matter of scheduling, lining up. I know he's doing a lot of shooting tournaments and stuff right now too, which I'm excited for that. Good luck to him. Hopefully everything goes good and he's winning some matches.
Actually,
representing the brand.
The whole thing with that is, surprisingly, I touched base with him. He was more range officer than actually shooting the competition for the Glock match. So he was out there. I'm sure he did a little bit of brand exposure for us through that community out there at the gun club, which is awesome as well. I know me and him have a buddy of ours that personally works for Glock that comes out once in a while with the Glock match and hangs out with us out at the bar and grill that we normally attend after competition. So
that's dope. Yeah, I got a buddy that works for Glock. He's one of their shooting instructors, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah, all right, so let's get into it. As you guys can see, doing the crawling animation across the bottom is the SincityTactical.xyz or MinnesotaOverlander.xyz. We've got a bunch of new merch going on right now, and we've got some discounted prices happening. So go ahead and check that stuff out. You can get a Sincity Tactical shirt, Sincity Tactical hat, or Jax is actually waiting on some of his products to show up. And then he'll have his shirts and stuff like that as well. He's got shirts and hats and face coverings, stuff like that. So do I. Since these tactical face masks and stuff like that as well. So go ahead and check that stuff out. But let's jump right into it now. This is a topic from Jax.
Before we get into the EDC magazine here, I did want to quick go ahead and just let's see if I can show the hoodie here. Gotta kind of show some love for our brother down there in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Absolutely.
However, the couple other shout outs I want to do quick here before we get into this is to my coworker, Bob, who I've been talking a lot of Second Amendment stuff with, along with some other stuff, which will tie into this whole podcast. Now, lastly here, the coworker of mine that on the last podcast, you guys heard that I got racially profiled with him. I did converse with one of the bartenders at the bar that was robbed that I personally know. He passed the message along to the bar owner, and me and him got into a deeper conversation about it, and he pretty much told me in a roundabout way that everything's good, messages passed along to the owner, and that myself and my coworker are clear of anything that, took place that night. So that's a plus. I just wanted to give our viewers and listeners that update. You froze up on my end. Let's see here. Refresh it on my end. Oh, no. You're okay. You're unfrozen.
Are we good? Are we good?
Yeah, I think we might be.
Okay.
So to jump into the first topic, though, now that my shout outs are out of the way, good old EDC magazine. Went and picked it up out at Cub Foods, which surprisingly didn't realize that they even had that on their magazine stands. I know one of my other favorite Pro 2A magazines out there now is the Recoil magazine. So definitely go out there to gas stations or convenience stores, check that out if they have it on their shelves. They got some good content in there. So basically, picking this up, this is kind of not a unboxing, but in a roundabout way, it's the first time I'm actually taking a look at fall 2020's issue. And, you know, it looks like they have some interesting stuff in here. The first thing I do want to bring up is, like Wes says, he has Sincity Tactical backed by Tac Pack, which you can see behind both of our screens there, the logo for Tac Pack. Go ahead and check that out and use Wes's code. Wes, you want to throw that out?
Yeah, I'll plug that information a little bit. So the Tac Pack monthly subscription service, what they do is every month they'll send you out a box with some survival / tactical / AR-15 geared products. It is a monthly subscription, so they range about $50, and then shipping and handling that comes with it. If you use my code SCT Tactical, you can get a free mystery grab bag and with your first order. So one more time, I will reiterate this part. When you order your Tac Pack, order it at the beginning of the month. So say, for example, September, order it on the 1st. And then once you do that, email them saying you want a September pack. Otherwise, you won't get one until November. That's just how it works. The first one is about a month after your order because they try to get all these packages pre-made probably the month before for their subscribers that they currently have. And then they fill in orders later. But it is something that you can jump ahead of and say, hey, I want my pack now versus waiting for November. So check that out. Tac Pack. Use my code SCT Tactical for a free mystery grab bag and check out that stuff. So they did actually send me an email saying that the September box is going to be a little bit late for about 25% of the subscribers through their end. They said that a couple of the manufacturers that they work with on their products kind of fell behind on their orders. So some people may or may not get their Tac Pack a little bit late. But that is not a regular thing. And I'm glad that they did send me an email telling me that I potentially might not get mine on time. But absolutely check them out and use my code. And yeah, it's a good service. I like it. I haven't really gotten anything that I don't like out of the boxes. So I'm happy with that. But
Yes, sir.
Let's move into something that I think is.
Well, hold on. Not quite finished here, brother.
All right.
Because this touches on what I'm about to bring up. So with that being said, you know, like you said, use the code and all. We're trying to get in works here for both Sincity Tactical and Minnesota Overlanders to be sponsored by them as a whole brand. And so that kind of ties into this. The one thing I did see in this magazine, briefly just opening the rear page here after viewing the table of contents, is they do have something pretty similar called the Gear Pack at www.gearpack.net. I'm going to have to do some looking into that and see if it's a similar service. I know there's a few things out there that are very similar to Tac Pack, even if it's something like survival gear for camping or whiskey glass sets, things of that nature. But yeah, I'm going to have to do some looking into that and definitely get back to you guys as far as what that website has to offer, what their pricing is. I'll try to reach out to them and see if we can't get them to sponsor us as well and go from there.
Absolutely. So the gear pack, there's other ones. There's Battle Box and Barrel and Knife and different type of subscription services. And it's funny that you bring that up because I have done some extensive research on these other subscription services. And I think it would be a good idea for the Minnesota Overlanders to get hooked up with a different subscription service besides TAC Pack. You know what I mean? If you get sponsored by them, then we have two different products that we're able to actually talk about, which would be cool. That'd be dope.
And compare the two packs.
Right. Compare the two to see, who's got better products coming every month. But for that to happen, realistically speaking, I think that the boxes have to be around the same price point, right? So if TAC Pack's a $50 a month subscription service, and say you're getting $100 subscription service box, obviously that's
I'm gonna have a little bit more better gear,
right? So that's but yeah, absolutely. I think we should do some research on that. Reach out to some headquarters of some of these places and see what we can't get worked out.
Exactly.
But the next thing that I definitely want to bring up, and it pissed me off. I saw this shit this morning on the news, and it blew my mind.
Oh boy!
So the Joe Biden commercial. Once again, I'm going to restate this for the video, but it's also going to be found in the description. Any third-party content, whether it be video, music, anything like that, we do not own the copyrights to. If you are the owner of the copyrights and you're watching this video and you would like us to remove it from the live stream, obviously I can't remove it from the actual live, but the playback version, I can remove that clip. So if it is something that you would like removed, just reach out to us. We're very accommodating, and we're willing to compromise. You know what I mean? We're trying to put news out there like media, right? So we're going to go ahead and pull this up and play this commercial for you guys.
Here we go.
Because I think it's important. But then we're going to have a discussion after about it. So let's go ahead and pull this up. I'm going to mute you and I, Jax, here for a minute. Sorry, Anchor Podcast people. Well, I won't mute my mic so you can try to hear it on there, but I will mute Jax real quick.
That's fine. Anchor can still hear me.
Yeah.
Violence of looting and burning and destruction of property. I want to make it absolutely clear, something very clear about all of this. Rioting is not protesting. Looting is not protesting. Setting fires is not protesting. None of this is protesting. It's lawlessness, plain and simple. And those who do it should be prosecuted. Violence will not bring change. It will only bring destruction. It's wrong in every way. It divides instead of unites. Destroys businesses, only hurts the working families that serve the community. It makes things worse across the board, not better. No, it's not what Dr. King or John Lewis taught, and it must end. Fires are burning, and we have a president who fans the flames rather than fighting the flames. But we must not burn. We have to build. This president long ago forfeited any moral leadership in this country. He can't stop the violence because for years he's fomented it. You know, he may believe mouthing the words law and order makes him strong, but his failure to call on his own supporters to stop acting as an armed militia in this country shows how weak he is. Does anyone believe there'll be less violence in America if Donald Trump is reelected? We need justice in America. We need safety in America.
Fucking hell.
We're definitely going to talk about that, right? So definitely something that is crazy to me that he can go on national TV and say those things. Now, obviously, that was more of an extended clip of the actual commercial. Commercial is only like 25, 30 seconds long, whatever. But that actually had more information than what I heard this morning. So that kind of upsets me a little more. So let's talk about it. First off, it's not Trump supporters that are out here rioting and looting and starting fires and killing people and fucking breaking into people's cars, ripping them out, or attacking old elderly white people on the fucking street and everything else. And I'm not being fucking racist. I'm just putting out the facts here, right? So the people that are doing this shit is BLM, Antifa, NFAC. Those are your fucking groups that are starting this shit, right? So the big thing to look at here is he said, and I'm quoting Biden here, he said that Trump supporters are being an armed militia. Wow. Well, who's he taking shots at there? Us, the pro 2A community, right?
Yeah.
So Joe Biden is saying that we're being an armed militia and that President Trump has not done anything to try to stop this from happening. He's not stopping the violence. He's fanning the flames. He's doing all this shit. Well, you live in Minnesota where the shit fucking started.
Oh,
so
yeah. I know.
me, what has Trump done to your own state?
All right, so I'm going to touch base on this and elaborate a little more. So for starters, we've already touched base in previous podcasts about the George Floyd thing, and that's basically where all of this shit stemmed from. Like we talked about before, it started off peacefully. You had the main people that were out there protesting for what they believed in, which, cool, fine, whatever. You want to peacefully protest, I get it. That's your freedom of speech, right, as an American, which would be your First Amendment, which is why the Second Amendment was created in the first place. However, on the same side of that, then you had the other half of the people that were out there burning down fucking 3rd Precinct in Minneapolis. You had people breaking into Target, looting, rioting in the streets, and I'd have to do a little bit more research on it. Not sure how true it is, but I've heard some theory that a few people that were rioting and getting into shit with people up here had something to do with a specific member of a 1% motorcycle club. Not going to say names out of sake for not knowing all that information and not wanting to start shit with them. But
right, don't do that.
Yeah, don't want to do that, definitely. But at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is I live in the state that all this shit was taking place. Fires were fucking burning. People were, it's still happening now where, every other day, if not every week, I'm hearing about something new where some kids getting shot or people are being jumped or whatever over fucking racial issues. And Biden wants to sit here and accuse Trump supporters of being the armed militia. Well, dumb fuck, you fucking wonder why we're all getting armed up. We're not trying to fucking be in a position where we're risking defunding the police and having to wait 5 to 7 business days for someone to even respond to a call that you want to fucking take away. Secondly, on top of all that, we're not the ones starting the riots and shit in the first place. We're out here as Second Amendment loving Americans, busting our ass, whether it be a 9-to-5 job, 7 to 3:30, Monday through Friday, or fucking Saturday through fucking Wednesday, like Griff, or, Wes's schedule. What it really fucking comes down to is Biden wants to sit here and act like he knows what the fuck's going on. Trump's the one that not only told our governor to put the Minnesota National Guard, which, by the way, I did serve for and with. I was part of the 134th BSB. I even called, because I got out in February, to make sure that I wasn't getting called back over the rioting because I heard through the grapevine that my unit got activated to deal with the bullshit.
Right.
On top of that, the shit out in Oregon. Governor doesn't want to do shit about it out there, but guess what? Trump said many a fucking times they need to enact martial law out there too. Are they going to do it? Probably fucking not.
No, and that's the bullshit aspect of this whole thing, right? Is the fact that people are trying to say that Trump isn't doing what he should be doing, right?
Yeah, and the only reason they're saying that is because of COVID.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fuck yeah. Well, first off, what's happening in November, right? I think that's a big thing. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about voting and everything else that's going on, which fine. I get it. Talk about the voting and whatever else. That's a lot of it. Media, they're playing shit out. They're allowing things to get really fucking stupid on their end, and they're doing it on purpose. They're the ones that are fueling the fucking fire, right? What's the biggest thing? What perfect example? Serial killers. There's some of them that want to be front and center, right? Yep. They want all the media attention. They want all that shit to come back on them. So what do some of them do? They try to help the police. They're trying to be a part of the investigation. They're showing up to the crime scene when the police are there. They're, trying to feed the fire. They're calling the media outlets and saying, I am the killer. You'll never catch me, da-da-da-da-da. Right? We see that shit on TV all the fucking
time.
And if it all comes down to it, right, how does this stuff stop happening? I'll tell you how it stops happening. The media needs to stop putting the shit on the fucking TV. Stop putting it on TV for every single person to fucking look at, right? Because what's that going to do? That Joe Biden commercial, what did it do to me? It made me mad. First thing in the morning, I woke up.
I just seen it before we started this.
And I put it onto my local news channel, and I'm watching and watching, allowed to even put that on TV because it's absolute crap. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't some Trump supporters out there, being a part of the protesting and everything else. Maybe they're not protesting for the same reasons that other people are protesting, but they could be a part of the vandalism and some other shit. There's dumb people in every group. I don't care what group it is. None of them are perfect. There's always going to be a couple bad apples in the group, right? But to say that Trump supporters are the cause is bullshit. Because, matter of fact, Daniel, whatever the hell his name was, the guy that we talked about a couple podcasts ago, right, that killed that person and live streamed about how he had, taken shots inside of the protesting area or whatever, right?
Wait, which one are we talking about? The 17-year-old kid?
No, not Kyle Rittenhouse.
Okay. Daniel
something. It was like Oregon or something.
Okay, it rings a little bit of a bell now.
Yeah, it was your topic. It was Daniel something. We pulled it up. Yeah. I looked into it. I did research on it while we were on the live stream. And what I found was the article said Trump supporters clashing with BLM, Antifa, and NFAC.
Yep.
If we're fuck.
Okay, look. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it for you. You're gonna monitor yourself here. I think I'm gonna go back into my good old Army roots here and remove the filter for a second. So bear with me.
Yeah.
All right. For everybody out there, you may know me, you may not. If you're watching this and you recognize me, you're from Minnesota area. I ain't got a problem saying, yeah, Trump's my president. But at the end of the fucking day, what it really comes down to is whether or not I support every decision he makes. doesn't determine who I am as a fucking civilian and a human being. That's just the fucking person that was elected and put in office to fucking do the job that the undercards, which we talked about, and we're going to have to fucking take the video down, or already did, from the last podcast because of the music video we played for you guys as educational purposes.
Yeah.
You need to realize everybody under the president are the ones that actually make the fucking rules.
Yeah.
And the only reason everybody's so focused on Trump is because he's in the highest office and the biggest fucking chair in the United States. So when it comes down to it, it's not Trump's fault that the fucking shit's failing. It's the media for putting everything out in a negative fucking way and everybody playing into it thinking they know everything and then playing the fucking race card when they don't get their goddamn way. So you know what? I'm going to say it.
Right.
And this is how I'm going to end that portion of it. This year in November, there hasn't been much of a fucking debate, and what's coming out of Biden's mouth really ain't shit. I guarantee you that by November, the numbers and the percentages will flip, and Trump is more than likely going to be reelected for a second term.
Well,
Trump 2020.
Politics is one of those things that I definitely don't want.
We try to stay away from.
Yeah, I try to stay away from it, not because I'm like against talking about it or I'm going to get upset or anything like that, because I won't. You know what I mean? I'm going to vote for Trump for sure because
me too.
And I'll answer this flat out. Same thing like you said. People know me. People that are watching this, yes, I'm going to vote for Trump. Why am I going to vote for Trump? Because I have physically seen and had physical changes in my own life based off of actions that were taken. So when Trump was first elected, I think it was in the first year and a half, 2 years, Trump proposed some stuff with the taxes that got approved, and what ended up happening, right? My taxes on my paycheck went down a little bit. I started receiving more money take home. Which was nice. It wasn't a huge amount. It was like $40, $50 a week or something like that more. But $40, $50 more a week allows me to buy a gallon of milk, some bread, some eggs, some bacon, and some fucking cheese for my family, right? Go pack, go cheese pack, all day. But that extra $40, $50 allows me to pay my child her allowance. It allows me to pay for groceries. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, shit happens and, money gets messed up, but we'd be a lot worse off if that wasn't the case. Now, I'm not a millionaire. I don't make a shit ton of money. I make very good money when the money's good, right? But I wouldn't consider myself high class. I wouldn't consider myself poor, but I don't think anybody's poor, really.
Middle class, blue collar.
Right. Well, yeah, right. I'm a blue collar worker. I'll grind 16-hour shifts every day. 6 days a week. Got to have one day off to let the body rest. But, I'll put in the work. I'll do the work, physical labor, manual labor. It doesn't matter. I'll do what I need to do to make my money because I don't have endless amounts of money. But when I say I don't think anybody's poor, I don't. And the reason why I say that is, what does poor even really mean? If you look at it financially, yes, you could be considered poor if you have no money and nothing. But when I look around my house and I look around my situation and I look around what we're doing here, we have the ability to put content out for users to be able to watch or to listen to on the Anchor or Apple Podcasts or Spotify or basically anywhere else you get a podcast from. We're there. We're able to do that. Why? Because we put our mind to it. Jax reached out to me. So I actually want to talk about that a little bit. We're going to touch on that a little bit.
Definitely.
We'll peel back into it. So I'm not going to lie. The Sincity Tactical thing, I've been building it for a year and a half, 2 years, give or take, at this point. And what I'm referring to is the initial contact with Jax on getting this shit going. So I had created the Anchor podcast app profile April of 2019. And I was going to do a podcast show as well, but I never did. I never started it. I let it sit there, never posted not one fucking thing on it, period. Because I didn't know what direction I wanted to go with it. And then, of course, my day-to-day came into play and, shit got real. I had stuff I had to do because, like I said, I'm not rich financially, but I do well for myself, but I have to work for it. I don't just get that shit handed to me. So welfare, I don't get that. Food stamps, I don't get that. I don't get free health care. My kid definitely don't get none of that shit for free. If I don't bust my ass, we ain't got nothing. And of course, if I even tried to attempt to apply for any of those type of assistance programs, I'd be told I make too much money, so I guess I can't be considered poor, right? Which we're not going to get into that topic, not today at least, the whole welfare setup. But back to the topic at hand. For some reason, I don't know. Now, I will say this. Now we're going to spark even more shit, right? We went political. Now we're going to go religious. I personally am not religious, okay?
Neither am I.
I wasn't raised with religion. That wasn't something that my family did. They were religious before an incident happened within my family, which we're definitely not going to get into that. No. But something had happened, caused my family to not be faithfully driven when it comes to religion. So we didn't go to church. We didn't do any of that kind of thing. We didn't pray or anything at the dinner table. What I was taught was you get what you have by working for it. If you don't work for it, you don't have it. That's just it, right?
How it is.
Now, to get past that point, so I'm not going to say it was fate or whatever the fuck, but, well, fate, I guess, isn't religious based, right? For whatever reason, I told you I hadn't done anything. I made it in April of 2019, never did anything with the Anchor podcast app. One day I decided to open the shit, right? Just to see. I opened it and I'm looking and there's this thing that says voice message. I'm like, well, what the fuck is that? I didn't know that a voice message was a thing on here. I thought it was I make a podcast, post it, that's it. I listened to it and it's fucking country boy Jack's out here. Hey, I would like to do a collaboration with you, So it sparked the interest. And I know that was a bad impression. I'm not a.
Hey, it's all good, brother.
But, so I listened to it and I sat there for maybe 20, 30 minutes, I think it was, or an hour maybe. I think it might have taken an hour before I actually responded to you.
Something like that.
And I don't think you expected me to actually respond either, because you probably sent out some collaboration voice messages to other people besides me at that point, which I'm going to ask you about that here in a little bit. So anyways, make a long story short, which people who know me will say that is my line. I like to say make a long story short. I sat there for about an hour and calculated in my head, do I want to do this? Because like I said, I started taking a hiatus from everything. I didn't do tactical videos. I wasn't up on the YouTube. I wasn't up on the Instagram. I wasn't up on Facebook, nothing. I had been basically shut down for a while, with plans of bringing it back up. That's why I didn't delete anything, but and then a little bit of depression too set in. I was like, I'm doing all this content, doing all these things. And I guess it's like working out, right? You get to a point to where you're excited, your enthusiasm's there, motivation's there. You start not seeing results like you expect, and then you go, well, is this worth it to keep pushing? And da-da-da-da-da. So I decided to just write back and go, sure, I'd love to do a podcast with you. I mean, we'll talk about some topics between you and I. We'll have an actual conversation before we actually go and make a podcast, and look where we're at now. We're about 8 or 9 live stream episodes deep. We've done
7
Anchor ones
podcasts on Anchor.
Yeah. So, it's grown. I mean, we haven't been doing it for too long together. It's pushing a little over a month, maybe 2 months at this point. Well, no, because if we've been doing one a week, and we've got 7 or 8, we're about 2 months deep.
Yeah, we're almost two months
series.
into this.
So, and that's cool. You know what I mean? And I brought this up with Jonna the other day in the truck. And I wasn't going to tell you, but I am going to tell you. I have been happier recently because of this. I have something to look forward to, right? I'm looking forward to setting up for the podcast, getting everything, dialed in, coming up with topics, talking to you, getting the store going again, making new products. You know what I mean? Yeah, you've re-energized my want for this because I was at a point where I was ready to give up, right? Or I did give up, actually, because I stopped doing everything. So I do want to say thank you for that. I do owe you for the confidence boost. You found something in me that I didn't necessarily see at the time. So I do thank you for that.
Hey, you're welcome, brother.
I guess you could say it's fate, right?
Yeah.
I just happened to open the app and was like, oh shit, this message was like an hour ago. Why I opened it, I have no idea because my notifications for that were off. I had a feeling, I opened it, and here we are.
Yeah, exactly. And, to touch on that a little more, you're right. I was scrolling through some of the tactical channels on there, just to kind of see what was out there and get a rough idea of kind of what direction I wanted to go originally with the anchor channel that I was starting out with. And, something told me, okay, well, there's no content up on Sincity Tactical's anchor channel yet, but maybe they just created that. So, I'm like, all right, cool. Maybe send a message out there. We're both starting out, pretty much at a fresh start. Collaborate a little bit offline, see where things end up going. So, I sent like 3 or 4 messages out to a couple other, people too, but never heard back from any of them. Still haven't heard back from them now, almost 2 months later. You are the only one that actually got back to me, and look at where we are. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't even care that they didn't get back to me because the funny part about all that is we have our thing going.
Yeah.
Not just that, but us doing our thing kind of gave my younger brother and younger sister the motivation to start their own podcasts on, which I think we briefly touched on last podcast. I, from time to time, will jump on their podcast channels to, tell stories with them, but as well as do a live stream on the Minnesota Overlander YouTube channel. Granted, the topics that's on their channel may not be pro Second Amendment, but it gives them exposure, gives the pro 2A side of thing exposure on their channel, as well as possibly even making them, think about possibly doing a collaboration with us, at least on the Anchor platform, if not here as well on the YouTube.
Absolutely. So I'm glad you brought that up because that is something that I wanted to talk about. So your little brother, your little sister, right?
Yep.
They've got their own podcasts and stuff like that. And what is what we are doing? What is it, right? We're talking about Pro 2A stuff. We're talking about world events. Fuck, we've gone political. We've gone religious a little bit. We've just had bullshit.
We just haven't gone sacrilegious.
Yeah. We've talked football a little bit because football's back. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.
And I will say that every goddamn time. Once again,
yes,
got my Packer G ripping through the skin. And
I got the good old ice freeze beer mug right along with obviously the beer bottle cooler that's been in a couple other podcast videos on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I just, I think it's one of those things where we're open to everything. And this isn't just a podcast for just this. I want people to jump in and, use our platform to voice their own, right? I'd love to get your brother onto the podcast. I'd love to get your sister onto the podcast. Let them come in and talk about what they talk about, right? Let them come in, give their own shout out for their own channel. I want this to be a network too. I want it to be something where we're not just a shell of redundancy. I want people to be able to come onto our platform and give their shout outs, promote their channel, get their name out there, use us as a platform for that. I'd love that.
Exactly.
And then I can ask questions, you know what I mean? So like, for example, Jonna is going to be starting her own YouTube channel now.
Oh,
just
really?
like you said.
Nice.
She sees what we're doing and that we're consistent and we're making things happen. Scheduling's not super consistent, but
we're trying.
We're working on that, right? We're trying to make all that work properly. She's going to be doing 5-minute budget crafts. That's a plug. So she doesn't have any content up yet, but that is the name of her channel. It's 5-minute budget crafts. And basically what that means is she wants to go to like your local 99-cent store or thrift store or, discount whatever store.
Yeah.
Get items and make objects out of it that are cool. It's more geared towards the younger teens and kids and things like
Life
that.
hacks.
Gives them stuff to do, which is awesome. I think that's great because she's
yeah.
very, very, very shy. She is not one to just like jump in front of the camera, start talking and be okay. Like the AR-15 pistol breakdown video that Jonna did. We must have shot that video 20 fucking times. And I had to take like, let's see. I took one of these like manila folder things, right? For like a filing cabinet. Used light color ones, obviously. And I had to write out a script with Sharpie and like tape the shit to the wall behind the camera and, just tell her, just read it. Forget the camera's there, just read it. But I think what we're doing gave her confidence to where she wants to do that now on her own.
Yeah, and and this is just, I don't know if she's watching right now on her phone or if she's listening, but, I'll be the first to say, I started out just with the Anchor podcast platform, never really did any of the YouTube shit back in the day when I could have been doing like mechanic shit too long ago, but never really touched on that. So when myself and Wes got this going and started branching out the Sincity Tactical brand, and then he threw the idea across to me that, hey, let's also open up a YouTube video podcast version of this to get us out on multiple platforms. Granted, maybe it's a little scary at first, because you're out there putting yourself on the World Wide Web. But realistically, you're putting yourself out on the World Wide Web, doing it through the Anchor app, putting yourself on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that. What's one more?
Exactly.
Go out there, do it.
That was always my thought process, right? So I'm overweight for my size. And I know that, and I've always been self-conscious about that kind of shit, right? Being overweight, being perceived by other people. I think it's bullshit when people say, oh, I don't care what people think about me. You're a fucking liar. Everybody cares.
What perception I do, but I don't.
Right. Everybody cares a little bit about what their image is being perceived as, right? If you're a fucking pedophile, you would care what your image fucking looks like. Right? Yeah. You don't want that shit just getting out there. You would care what people think about you at that point. So it's one of those things where, I wasn't comfortable with it myself. But one thing that I've always been taught is you miss every single shot that you don't take. Right? So you only have one life to live. YOLO. Damn, I haven't heard that or said that in a long time.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where you have to put yourself out there. Who knows if we're going to end up becoming successful? Who knows? But we're trying. The guy who's sitting behind the screen watching, who, wants to do it but never does, never will become successful with it because you have to take shots. If you don't take the shot, you're going to miss, right?
Exactly.
Same thing with shooting, like what we talk about. If I don't aim my sights correctly and pull the trigger,
you're going to miss.
I'm going to miss. If I line up my sights and never pull the trigger, same thing.
Going to miss.
Target. No. So I think that's just what it is. And like I said, I'd love to have them come on. And actually, after this, I would like you to send me their links. I'm going to go ahead and give them some subscribes. Actually, go ahead and plug their information real quick.
Yeah, matter of fact, so let me just, I know my brother's, I believe's Murder Mystery Fridays on Anchor.fm. And then my sister's podcast, if I remember correctly, because they've got, a little longer of a name, but hers, if I'm correct about this, is Positive Vibes and Mystery.
Positive Vibes and Mystery. Well, sweet. Well, I'm going to plug a YouTube / Anchor / he does a bunch of shit. He was a former Navy SEAL. His name is Mr. Ballen, MRBALLEN. Both of them sound like they're doing like mystery type of story type of channels. Give them that information, Mr. Ballen. YouTube, I like watching it on YouTube because I can physically see him. He's talking, he's putting images on the screen, and he does murder mysteries and like scary, short, scary stories, stuff like that. And maybe that'll help guide them in a direction.
And
the platform.
Yep. And, matter of fact, last, Saturday or Friday when we were talking about doing a podcast, just kind of as a special, I ended up jumping on my brother's podcast channel and telling that story about the Montyville Trail in Stillwater, Minnesota, from what we all used to hear as kids. So, there's many different places in different states. I'm sure there's places down there that there's history with about being haunted or, a murder happening that was never solved.
I'm gonna throw a fact at you right now because I'm into that kind of shit. So I like watching it, right? I think that's one of the big things. So like Ghost Adventures, I like watching that kind of shit. Not necessarily because like I want the scary factor of it,
but because it's interesting.
It's interesting. I like locations. I like seeing different places of the country and shit like that. So perfect example. Me, Jonna, and her mom went on a short little vacation. We went up to Virginia City, which has Washoe Club, which is supposed to be super haunted. The whole town of Virginia City is supposed to be super haunted, right? But the plug that I was going to put in is hotels have a higher suicide rate than any other building in the world. People, especially in Vegas, because we have a shit ton of casinos and hotels, right? Every casino has a hotel attached to it. So people come from other states, they check into a room, they kill themselves, and that's just a normal thing, unfortunately. But yeah, there's a lot of that stuff out here. There's some like mafia ties out here where there's houses that mafia members lived in. Actually, kind of funny story. So my day job, which I know we talked about, we're not going to get into. Let me just put it this way. I ended up at a house of a guy named Juan Gabriel, who's basically like the Latino Frank Sinatra, right?
Okay.
Big 4-building compound, huge. Underground tunnel, had a 50s diner built underground attached to this tunnel. And when I say 50s diner, bro, I'm telling you, like 25 booths, actual like diner. And then on the other side of it, it was called the Love Tunnel. Went to like a strip club, nightclub type of thing underground. It was fucking weird. The guy had died, right? Juan Gabriel had died. And this was like, he had died like 2 years before I ended up going to this compound. So it was weird. It was fucking weird. Whole place is empty. There's furniture in there, but it's like estate sale stuff.
Yeah.
where all of the furniture is still there, but it's got price tags on it. They're trying to sell it. Michael Jackson lived in one of the back houses for a while when he did some kind of like residency here or some shit. It was fucking weird. And then right next to it, like 2 houses down, is the old Binions mansion, which Binions is one of the big families out here that built a lot of the casinos and had a lot to do with that. And they supposedly had a lot of ties into the mafia and fucking killing people and shit. It was crazy. So there's a lot of those type of stories out here that I would love to jump onto your brother's podcast or your sister's podcast and throw out some stories from out here. There's some places where I've been where I got freaked the fuck out and, you know.
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, there's one place, if you ever make it up this way, whether it be for a Viking Packer game or you and the family just taking a vacation up this way to see your family out in Wisconsin and then traveling on through, there's a cemetery called Dartford Cemetery in Green Lake County, Wisconsin.
Ooh, that doesn't sound good.
And so I grew up in the episode on A Haunting, and if you look the story up, online even, there's a mausoleum somewhere in the graveyard. And the theory with that is if you sit on it at ghost hour, which is about 3 o'clock in the morning, something will push you off of that mausoleum.
That's crazy. Now,
and then you'll see like apparitions and shadows and shit following you around the graveyard.
Yeah, no, I'll pass on that shit, man. I'll tell you what. So, all right, here I got a story for you.
He's like, nope.
No, fuck all that, dude. First of all, I have chlorophobia. You know what that is? I am deathly afraid of clowns. I do not fuck with clowns. So you remember that like evil clown shit that was actually happening in real life?
And the pranks?
I'd be in jail right now, dude. Straight up. I'd be in jail right now because I don't play that shit. I am literally like deathly afraid of clowns. In Nevada, I'm going to pull it up. In Nevada, when you're driving towards Virginia City, going northern Nevada, I live in southern Nevada. In Tonopah, that's the name of the city, there's a place called the Clown Motel.
Oh, hell.
I shit you not. And you know what's right next door to the Clown Motel? A fucking cemetery.
No shit.
Negative. I do not like that shit. So give me 1 second.
Okay,
put it up on the screen. Look at this.
Bro.
Hell no.
What the fuck?
Yeah, now look at this. I'm going to zoom in to this back corner. See where the mouse is?
Yep.
Can't really see it too well.
Yeah, I mean, it's up there kind of where the gateway was there.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened. Some ad popped up or some shit. Let me get rid of that. Anyways, that picture that you were just looking at.
Yep, right there. Right behind the ass end of the car.
Yes. All these little black things that you're seeing on the screen are tombstones. Yep. That is the cemetery.
Wow. Fucking hell.
Fuck that place, bro. Negative. Yeah. I don't like it. I won't do it. I stay away from that shit. That is nothing good for me, right? So that place could fuck off. I will not go back through there again. I'll drive right past that shit, which is that's what I did going. I just drove right past that shit on the way back. So that was actually featured on Ghost Adventures. You can find that. The Washoe Club that I was talking about, that was featured on Ghost Adventures as well. Virginia City has been on Ghost Adventures. There's a bunch of stuff about that on there, right? But anyways, so working my day job, my stuff got stolen from me, right? And I was very, very, very upset about it. So I went looking for the homeless asshole that stole my stuff. And I end up showing up at this abandoned house that's not too far away from where I lived at the time. And me and my buddy, because I'm not doing that shit by myself, we strap up. I get my plate carrier on. I get my pistols out. Like, we're running this shit. So we go to this abandoned house. It's dark because obviously I'm not trying to go into an abandoned house during the day when the cops could fucking see us and shit. So we go into this house and it's trashed, right? It's pitch black inside the house. There's no power. We're running flashlights. I have my EDC light on my gun, right? My tactical light. So that's all I've got. I'm pointing a gun down the hallway. Every hallway that I turn, we're clearing rooms. And we get to this back room, and I start getting this weird-ass smell, right? I'm like, nah, I know the smell of death. I don't like it. We got to get the fuck out of here. Fuck it, my tools are not here. We got to go. So we turn around, and we start going back out. And I come across this room. I look in there. There's a noose and, like, red droppings on the ground. But it was like a small noose, like not like a actual noose, but it was small.
Right.
Little red droppings. So I'm like, this is fucking really getting weird now. We get back to the living room, and the place is trashed. Like, the people look like they just picked up and left. It was weird. Everything was still in this house. It was fucking weird. But everything had been trashed, like vandalized. Everything's, smashed over and shit. And we started walking, and I just came to a complete stop because I thought I heard something. So I turned around, and I was like, dude, did you hear that? He's like, no, I didn't hear it, but I got a really bad feeling. And I'm like, yeah, so do I. Let's get the fuck out of here. And as I'm going to walk out, I felt my foot step on something. And I looked down, and I stepped on a fucking Ouija board, like a 1986 Ouija board.
No fucking shit.
So, boom, we run out the goddamn building.
Wow.
We get in the truck. We bounce out. We get back to the house. Now, he's super religious, right? And I'm freaking out at this point. I don't like Ouija boards. I ain't about that shit. I said, I'm not religious, but I'm not out here testing shit either. I'm not trying to fuck with shit. So we get home, and he's Latino, right? Well, he's Salvadorian, right? He brings out this fucking like holy water, some shit. I don't fucking know. Starts dumping it on my head and shit. And I'm like, whatever. I don't give a fuck. I don't want to bring no bad energy to my house. So I go inside, right? Now, mind you, I like Ghost Adventures, so I have it set to record.
Yep.
Right? Not even 20 minutes after I walk in the fucking door, I'm sitting down. I'm trying to calm down. I start flipping through the channels and shit. I hit the button to see my DVR recordings.
Yep.
And what was fucking recording? Ghost Adventures, a Sin City exorcism. Was the name of the
fucking shit.
Was fucking recording.
Oh my god!
I walked in the door.
Fucking
I freaked out. I was like, Jonna, come here. I explained to her everything that was happening. I had taken pictures of the inside of this house. I don't know where those pictures are now. If I could find them, another podcast, I'll show the pictures. Time out. Are you making hot dish?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay. Huh?
Tater tot hot dish?
No, not a tater tot hot dish.
Minnesotan there, don't you know?
Good. But my point is, they want some scary mystery fucking stories. I've got them.
Yeah, so do I.
Freaked me out. And then you know about Ed Gein, right?
Yep. Matter of fact, that happened in Wisconsin.
Right. My grandfather grew up in that area, and when he was 12 years old, before Ed Gein got caught, my grandpa and his friends were walking around in the woods and came across the cabin.
No fucking shit.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not kidding.
I got one for you. Growing up, so the elementary school I went to, right? A buddy of mine lived across the street, second house off the corner. He'd tell me all the time his house was haunted and shit. He'd see apparitions, full-bodied. Never really, took it into consideration that was actually a thing, because we were like 8, 9 years old. And so, I figured maybe he's just fucking with me because, we talk about ghosts and shit all the time. But so one day we're out at recess and we're sitting on the swing set facing his house. And we're having a conversation about football or something because we were planning to play a pickup game on the schoolyard later on that week. And I look up and I see this full-bodied apparition of this lady in a bright white 1980s fucking style dress. Or earlier, give or take. And I go, who the fuck is that? And he goes, what are you talking about? I go, look up at the fucking window. No sooner does he look up at the window, blood starts dripping out of her eye sockets, and it looked like she was screaming. And then just out of nowhere, she fucking vanishes.
Yeah, hell no. And John had just actually brought up a point from that story that I had just told you. It wasn't a story, that was fact. That was real shit. Which, like you said, you're real shit. There was a picture that I took because she heard me saying that I had taken pictures and shown her or whatever. I had a picture of the Ouija board. I had a picture of like the noose and the blood splatter shit on the ground. And I had taken another picture. I forgot about this until she just brought it up. I took a picture and you could see my reflection, but there was no fucking mirror.
Weird.
And it wasn't a shadow. You could physically see it was me, but there was no mirror in the fucking room. So that shit was hella crazy. I'm gonna have to try to find those pictures again. It was nuts.
Hell yeah.
It was super nuts. Let's see. I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick.
Just getting all this shit set back up and plugged in on my end for the live stream. But yeah, no,
I think I deleted them because that shit was creepy.
Yeah. But yeah, fucking, I mean, there's stories that I could fucking tell you about Minnesota even. Like, so where I was living when I was when I was going to elementary school, I wasn't that far away from the school either, but I was over off of Lawson and, right up on Jackson Street where it connects at Lawson was Jackson Street Cemetery. And I heard stories about that graveyard too, where, there'd be people that would go in there and try to camp and sleep overnight. And if you go in the back portion of the graveyard in the far corner, you'd see apparitions roaming around from one gravestone to the next.
Nope. See, that's that kind of shit. My I gotta say this has got to be like, we haven't talked in years now, but growing up, this dude was my best friend. Like, we knew each other preschool, kindergarten, all the way through elementary school, all the way through middle school. We went to school together every year, all the way up until high school. Then he ended up moving with his family. His grandfather had built a house in Ely, Nevada, and this house was built on the top of a hill in the middle of a cemetery inside of Ely, Nevada, right? So the house literally is surrounded by graves. No fucking joke.
No shit.
So we would go up there and stay at the house, right? We're young. We're 14, 13, maybe 12, whatever. Young at the time. And we would go up there and stay. And then at night, me, him, and his sister would go out into the cemetery and we would play like fucking hide and seek and shit. And it's dark. You know what I mean? We're playing hide and seek in the fucking cemetery. It wasn't weird at that time. But then we started hearing noises and shit. So we stopped doing it. And then once we stopped doing it, like a day or two later, we started hearing noises at night outside of the window that in the room, like his room, we were hearing noises outside the fucking window. So shit got really weird. And then it was snowing at that time, which crazy to think about Nevada having snow, but Ely actually gets snow. So we'd get sleds and we would slide down the hill towards the fucking tombstones and shit, run back up the hill. Well, I ran and dove onto like a toboggan and fucking took off down the hill, and I smacked into a tombstone, and I chipped a piece off of the tombstone. And my buddy at the time, this was like even 2 or 3 years later, he said, man, I've thrown that piece of tombstone away at least 3 times, and I swear I keep finding pieces that look like it's from the tombstone, not the actual piece. But he'll find pieces of rock sitting underneath his bedroom window, like in the grass by his house, that look like the same type of shape of what was chipped off of that tombstone.
Holy fucking shit.
Yeah, fucking
weird.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the whole fucking thing about this is, you know, I totally agree with you, bro. Some of the stories we have could fucking blow a good portion of the fake ass stories that you see on Paranormal Witness and that out of the fucking water.
Yeah.
But right. at the end of the day, you know, basically this is going to be just kind of a public service announcement, if you will, to not only our YouTube viewers but our Anchor listeners and other podcast platforms.
Don't forget Facebook. We got that Facebook live stream.
And Facebook live stream. Mainly, we're gonna try to, you know, come up with as much Pro 2A stuff for you guys as possible. But I'm more than willing to openly share, you know, ghost stories and paranormal shit and murder mysteries, things of that nature, like Ted Bundy, you know, things of that nature. Even.
Psycho.
Yeah. Crazy ass motherfucker.
Bozo the clown.
Yep.
What was his name? Fucking John Mackey or some shit?
Yeah, John Mackey, Bozo.
All right, I think that was his name, John Mackey or something.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was John Mackey.
Okay. In Virginia City, there's John Mackey Mansion. Or Mackey Mansion.
Yep.
Is an actual fucking place in Virginia City. It's weird. But we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, you guys. Thank you for watching. And thanks again, Jax, for hopping on. Tomorrow, I'm probably going to do maybe a 15, 20-minute podcast live stream just to kind of, you know, put some more information out there about what's to come. And then hopefully we can get his brother and sister on as special guests. Let them get into their podcast a little bit, talk about what they do, and then let them actually give a story that they would use on their podcast.
Yeah,
I think that'd be great.
And then Griff for sure will be back next collaborative episode. So stay tuned for that as well.
Sweet.
And we will catch you guys later.
Yep. All right, man. Catch you later.